Good morning, students. We are going to continue Control and Coordination, Chapter 7 of NCERT. In this module, we are going to discuss control and coordination specifically in plants. This phenomena is very important from examination point of view as well as very interesting as you can correlate all of the important aspect in day-to-day life. Let's begin. First of all, we need to understand as plants do not show any sort of locomotion, they can't change their position, they are fixed at a place. So, how they are going to control whole of the body metabolism? That is with the help of certain chemicals in the form of hormones. So that's how they are going to react with the outer condition, environmental condition, and they are going to keep on adapting according to it as well. So movements of individual parts or organs of the plant like shoot, root, leaves, etc. are subjected to some external stimuli like light, force, gravity, chemical substances, water, touch, etc. As they do not possess any sort of nervous system, they are quite dependent on chemicals being secreted inside their body. They respond to stimuli in terms of light, gravity, chemical substances, water, touch, all of this. The movement in any part of a plant is usually a growth movement. This is very important aspect. The movement in any part of a plant is usually a growth movement because it ultimately leads to the growth of the plant. Now comes to the plant movements. We basically categorize plant movements in two categories, tropism and nestes. Tropism is also referred as tropic movements. Nestes are also referred as nestic movements. Tropism refers to the direction of the stimuli, determines the direction of the movement of the plant part as well. However, in nesty or nestic movement, the direction of movement is not determined the direction of the stimulus. Tropic movement are further subdivided into the five categories. You can see phototropism, geotropism, chemotropism, hydrotropism, thigmotropism, and nestes or nestic movements are subdivided into two categories, thigmonesty and photonesty. We are going to discuss each and every plant movement in great detail one by one. So first of all, we need to understand what is tropism. It refers to the growth movement in response to an external stimulus. That is very important point. External stimulus is required for the growth movement, in which direction as the stimulus determine the direction of the response. Whatever the direction of the stimulus, the plant growth movement will be in the same direction. This is very important aspect. If the growth of a plant part is towards the stimulus, it is positive tropism. And if the growth of the plant is away from the stimulus, then it is referred as negative tropism. Sometimes there is positive tropism when the stimulus and the growth occurs in the same direction, then it is a positive tropism. And if growth is not in the same direction but in opposite, then it is referred as negative tropism. Now come to the phototropism. As the word suggests, photo means light. When the plant shows a response to the light, it is referred as phototropism. As you have observed that stem or shoot of a growing plant bend towards light. So the stem of the plant shows positive phototropism. However, in case of roots, they grow away from the light and shows negative phototropism. So first of all, you need to understand that light is necessary for determining the direction of the growth of a stem or shoot or root. Okay, so stem always grows in the direction of the light. However, roots grows away from the direction of the light. This is one of the integral activity from the NCERT textbook. You can see a conical flask is being placed. Above the conical flask, there is wire mesh, and the plant part, that is stem part, is coming out of it. So If we place it in front of the light, you can easily observe that the shoot system grows towards the light, that is positive phototropism. However, roots grow away from the sunlight, they shows negative phototropism. Now we have to understand bending of the plant stem or shoot towards light. Why this happens? That is because of one chemical being secreted into the plant, that is auxin. Auxin is also referred as plant hormone. We will discuss in this module only later. Auxin distribute uniformly when light is coming or in direct contact or in straight line. The auxin is distributed uniformly. When the light is coming in a bending movement, the plant shoot system is also bent towards that of the light. And you can see this bending is just because of the release of one substance, that is auxin. When the bending is happening at this side, the auxin will always release in the opposite side to cause a bending of the stem. Please understand this phenomena. As you can see in the direct sunlight, uh, all of the auxin, that is a chemical responsible for the phototropism, and it is also referred as plant hormone. It is equally distributed. But when the light is from far away or from that of the bending point, so the plant also turns towards light. That is because of the auxin, and you can see the release of the auxin occurs in the opposite direction of the bending of the plant. Okay, you can easily recognize that the oxygen concentration is quite higher at the opposite end, okay, where the plant is going to be bent. Now comes to the geotropism. As the word suggests, geo means towards the gravity. The roots of the plant, always go downward and follow the positive geotropism. However, shoot follows negative geotropism. As you can see, if the pot is being placed in a tilted position, the stem always grows away from that of the gravity in the upward direction, and root will always grow in the direction of the gravity, that is positive geotropism. Okay. Now come to the chemotropism. This is very interesting phenomena that plant also have the response towards chemicals as well. As you know, pollens landed on the stigma, and stigma recognize that the pollen belongs to my species or not. And if pollen belongs to the same species, they allow the growth of the pollen tube and ultimately lead to the fertilization. As you can see in the diagram itself, the pollen land on the stigma of the flower, and then a tube-like structure grows and meet to the egg and ultimately led to the seed formation or fruit formation. Okay, this is completely guided by the chemicals being present on the stigma, that whether it's going to be allowed to form a tube-like structure or not. This is type of chemical interaction, and you can see the chemical interaction doesn't stop here, and it also directs the path to the of the pollen tube towards the egg. So that's how the pollen meets the egg. Now come to the hydrotropism. Hydrotropism, as the word suggests, means the movement of the plant in response to the water. If plant senses proximity towards the water, the whole of the root system goes towards it. And you can see in the animation as well, the root system is approaching towards that of the water reservoir. And you can perform this experiment. This is very simple uneasy experiment towards hydrotropism. If water is equally distributed throughout the soil medium in a pot or any of the container you have taken from your home, and try to grow a seedling in that pot, and you will recognize that the root is growing straight wort because there is equal distribution of water throughout the pot. But what happen when we place a clay pot which is filled with water, and by the time releasing water in the medium or in the soil, adjacent soil, so the whole water is not equally distributed. There is a reservoir of water being placed in a clay pot, and it sees water into the surrounding medium gradually. So that root is going towards the water reservoir as it senses water in the close proximity. This is the positive hydrotropism. Now come to the thigmotropism. This word is quite new to you. So thigmo means touch. The movement towards touch is referred as thigmotropism. It basically seems in the tendrils grow towards any of the support. You have seen at your home also that some of the stems or some sort of tendrils grows out of the plant body, and they senses the support near to them and grows along with that support only. That is referred as thigmotropism. To deal this aspect and to clarify more, you can see the animation how tendrils take the support of the nearby object and lead to the growth of the plant. Here also you can see enormous amount of tendrils hold the support nearby to it and try to grow and fetch more and more sunlight for their growth. Now come to the usefulness of tropic movement. Why all these tropic movement which we have discussed are necessary for the plant, as they make plant fit for the environment to survive. Okay, so the plant can survive in the harsh environment as well because of these tropic movements, and the plant becomes capable to utilize all of the resources in the nearby proximity. This is one of the important uh, diagram. You can observe that if you place seed in any of the direction, the root will always grows downward. That is positive geotropism, and this positive geotropism is very very important because it's ultimately going to fetch all of the nutrient in the surrounding medium and lead to the holistic growth of the plant. This is quite essential, and that itself explains the usefulness of the tropic movement. Now come to the nestes or nestic movement, the movement of plant part in response to an external stimulus in which the response is not determined by the direction of the stimulus. That is referred as nestic movement, and it can be observed into the chui, that is Mimosa pudica, and you can also observe in dandelion flower. In dandelion flower, you can see the flowers are going to open only when the light is quite bright, and they are going. The petals are going to close when there is a lesser amount of light in the evening. This type of nesting movement is being shown by dandelion flowers. Similar type of movement you can observe in moonflower, but they are quite opposite. They just the petals just going to be closed in the morning in the bright light, but they tends to open in the dark. Okay, so these type of nastic movement where the stimulus do not determine the direction of the response, these are referred as nastic movement. You can observe in Mimosa pudica, dandelion flower and moonflower. So nesting movements are basically divided into two categories. On the internet, you will find numerous categories, but we have to focus only on two categories, that is thigmonesty and photonesty. First of all, thigmo, as I have told you, thigmo always means touch. Okay, so the non-directional movement of the plant in response to touch of an object is referred as thigmonesty, and this is one of the beautiful animation you can enjoy. That after touching the most leaf or leaflet of the Mimosa pudica, whole of the leaflet are going to be drooped down. Okay, they just tend to fold down, and ultimately whole of the leaflet is going to droop down. Okay, so this is one of the beautiful thing in the nature. Just touch the plant of chuimi or leaf of the chuimi, you will see these type of movement. These are referred as thigmonasty. They can sense the environment near to them. So this is very very important phenomena. And in the diagram also you can easily observe. These diagrams are quite important when you are going to explain some of the important crux related to the facts. So please try to make these diagrams, not the hand part, but these stem along with the leaflets is quite important. You can draw and illustrate your point of view in a very well manner. How the leaves of sensitive plant fold up when touched. As you have observed in Mimosa pudica or Chui Mui, that when you touch, whole of the leaflet is going to be closed down. How does it happen? Why does it happen? So we are going to unmystify all of the things. As you can see on the leaflet at the base, a swollen portion is there that is referred as pulvinus. Singular is pulvinus and plural is pulvini. Okay, so this swollen portion contains lot of water. Okay, when there is a sense of touch, all of the water from the pulvinus is going to lose out into that of the surrounding medium or in the intercellular spaces, and that's lead to droop out of the leaves and closing of the leaves. Okay, so that's how the pulvinus is going to be responsible for the closing of the leaves or drooping of the leaves. This is very important phenomena. And pulvinus, I'm repeating this fact because it is quite new term to you. At the base of the leaflet, you will observe a swollen portion. That swollen portion contains large amount of water. You can observe here as well. This is swollen portion, and that led to the upliftment of the leaflet towards light. But when there is a sensing of the touch, these pulminous going to lose water into the surrounding medium in the intercellular spaces, and that led to deficiency of water and ultimately led to the um, closing of the leaflets or drooping of the leaf altogether. Okay, so next thing is photonasty. These are non-direction movement of the plant part in response to light. Okay, so light is going to play a vital role for the non-directional movement of the plant body, and this you can observe in dandelion flowers. In moonflower, dandelion flower is going to open or bloom beautifully in the bright sunlight and tend to close all of the petals when there is evening. There's less amount of light in the night. Okay, the opposite thing happens with the moonflower. Moonflower is going to bloom at night. That's why the name moonflower is there. And they are going to remain closed during day in the bright sunlight. So that's how the plant is going to respond towards light. And these nasty movement are actually the growth movement because they are responsible for the growth of the plant, and they are very very important. They are referred as growth movement. Now come to the plant hormone or phytohormones. Plant hormones basically are of five types: auxin, gibberellins, cytokinin, abscisic acid, and ethylene. As you know, we have discussed a little bit about auxin. These are basically chemicals being released in the plant body to control various action, movements, growth. Everything is being controlled by these hormones. They play a vital role in the holistic growth of the plant. Now, first hormone we are going to discuss is auxin. Auxin is also referred as indole 3 acetic acid. Please pen down, it is also referred as IAA. So you should be aware about the abbreviated form of the indole 3 acetic acid. It promotes cell growth in stem and roots, causes apical dominance, prevent premature falling of the leaves and fruits, and responsible for phototrophic and geotrophic movement, causes root formation, development of parthenocarpic fruit, and use as weedicide. Now, this is what auxin actually do. But I think you will not be aware. You are not being aware with some of the terms like apical dominance. You will face difficulty in understanding these terms. So please try to understand this. If you face any difficulty, just let me know. I will answer your query. So first is apical dominance. Apical dominance is that kind of dominance when bud actually arises at the tip of the shoot system. So if there is a bud at the tip of the shoot system, it won't allow the plant to grow more. Okay. So auxin causes basically apical dominance. It led to the development of bud at the tip of the plant. Okay. So that is referred as apical dominance. And next thing, you will face problem in parthenocarpic. Parthenocarpic fruit are seedless fruit. Now this is summer time. You have noticed that some watermelon do not have seed. Have you ever noticed banana have seed or not? No. So these are parthenocarpic fruit, seedless fruit. Simply learn by this term seedless fruit. And you can initiate parthenocarpic fruit in any of the plant by inducing artificial auxin, because they are readily being available in the market as well. You can apply and you have your own seedless fruits. Okay. They are also used as weedicides. They are helpful in removing all sort of unwanted plants with the main plant body. Okay. Now come to the gibberellins. Gibberellins basically promote the length of the plant. If there is secretion of the gibberellins in the plant is going to attain length. Okay. So the growth is being promoted in leaves, stem, internodes, and fruits. They are used to increase the yields of the fruits. Okay. The number of fruits you can increase by introducing gibberellins into the plant, and it also increase the sugary flavor in the sugar cane. Okay. Dormant bud and seed sprout in presence of gibberellins. Induce flowering, induce parthenocarpy. Parthenocarpy again you can remember with the help of seedless fruit. Okay. So the next hormone is cytokinin. Cytokinin, as the word suggests, refers to cytoplasmic division, that is cell division and differentiation. Prevent senescence. Senescence means aging of the plant. Okay. If there is release of cytokinins, that actually prevents senescence. Overcomes apical dominance. If there is cytokinin, it will never ever allow the attainment of or inducing of any of the bud at the tip of the plant. It will always promote the growth of the plant. This is very happy hormone, so it will always lead to the growth of the plant. And abscisic acid, it is more like a policeman of the plant, commonly known as stress hormone or dormin, generally a growth inhibitor. Whenever there is release of abscisic acid, plant is going to decline all of the metabolic activity altogether, induce dormancy. The seeds are going to be dormant. They will not germinate at the spot. They will remain at a dormant stage for a while, and later on the favorable arrival of the favorable condition, they will germinate and lead to the growth of the plant. And regulates growth, promotes abscission of the flowers and fruits, that is detachment of the flowers and fruits, and causes closing of the stomata. It prevents loss of water. Okay. So it is going to keep a check. If a plant is going to lose a large amount of water, it will shut down all of the stomata, so that the plant can cope up with the stress condition. So that's why it is referred as a stress hormone. So it is more like a policeman. Wherever there is negligency happening in the plant, it is going to be controlled by abscisic acid. Now come to the ethylene. Ethylene is one of the gaseous hormone, plant hormone. Recently, it has joined the category of the plant hormone. Previously, it was never ever referred as a plant hormone, and this is also not being mentioned in your NCERT textbook. This is the recent development that ethylene is being accepted as a plant hormone. It is a gaseous hormone. Rest of the hormones are chemicals in diluted form, but ethylene is a gaseous hormone, and it led to the ripening of the fruit. Whenever there is secretion of the ethylene, the fruits are going to be ripe very soon, and it also leads to the ripening of the flowers, leaves, and even roots. This hormones also induces the detachment of the leaf, seed germination, leaf, and flower senescence. Flower senescence, I have told you, that is aging. Okay, and abscission means detachment of any of the leaf, fruit from that of the plant body. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial because you can correlate with your nature. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you, students.